Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 24th episode of the Dice Society podcast. My name is Caio, and this is a show about Draw Steel, a tactical role-playing game made by MCDM. Well, everyone, this is the second anniversary of the Dice Society podcast. I'm really happy that you all stuck out and continue listening to me ramble on about Draw Steel even all this time later. As you can probably tell, this is not a scripted episode. It's been already a very long time since the last one, and I didn't want to delay it anymore by making a script. So this is this is where we are. Today, the episode will focus on a bunch of community creations as always, some news from MCDM, and the main event today is Draw Steel's little brother, Crows. This is going to be pretty interesting to talk about. So, let's draw Steel and get started. Beginning with the community corner in the news. As always, all of the links are in the description of this episode. The first thing I want to talk about here is the second Jam of the Timescape, an event organized by John Denor and myself. The theme this time around was ancestries, and I really wanted to do this episode before, but I couldn't. So the event has already come and gone, but we've had a huge turnout from the community. We got 118 submissions. This is a record by far, right? We also got 200 members on the Discord. It was a blast. People had a lot of fun, and so many people made their first product for a TTRPG ever. So this was really, really amazing, and I really want to thank everyone who contributed, who participated. The judges are at this moment rating all the entries, and the results should come in a couple of weeks. We got a huge donation from Triglav Games. They're giving a few supplements to the top three submissions, and yeah, It's been a blast, it's been super fun, and now we're rating the entries. So please do join the Discord if you want to participate on the next event. There will be a Jam number 3, I promise. The second item here on the community corner is the Stall Supplement Index by, yes, John Denor. This is a huge list of products made by the community that are finished and you can either buy or get right now. It's, I believe, a huge amount of work for John to set this up, and it's a really, really amazing resource. A bunch of people, I know this because another creator talked to me, a bunch of people are already going to this page and checking out all the products, and they're filterable by the type of product they are, like ancestries and classes and adventures. It's a really cool thing by John, and I think it's really going to help people discover new products for Draw Steel. Really check it out, because I'm sure you'll find something you forgot or that you've never heard of, and you'll probably get some pretty cool supplements. Next up, it's the crowdfunders. The first one is unfortunately already over. It's Nightmare Scenario by Metalonian. These are options and goodies for creating encounters in a dreamscape. And if I remember correctly, there's an ancestry, monsters, a bunch of stuff that are all dream themed. And the crowdfunder is already over, but I'm sure you can get this supplement once it's out. The next one is almost over. If I manage to edit this quickly, it's the Kiln by Gub. This is a class. It's a sword. It's a melee class that's able to wield fire magic. It's really, really interesting. I have played as a Kiln and I had a blast. Please do check it out. It's already funded, so there's absolutely no risk. The next one hasn't been opened yet. This is just the landing page, but it's by Rise Heroes Rise. It's a crowdfunder by Cameron. It's complicated. This is the name of the product. It's complicated. And as you can probably guess, this is a bunch of complications. And I have also play tested this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be featured in the not announcement video, but the video showcasing the iconic complications for this product. And I played a goo person. It was awesome. I really enjoyed this. And so yeah, it's not launched yet, but it's going to. So check out the description for the link to the landing page and click the button there to get notified. The next one, also still in landing page mode, is Weapons of Lore by Jeff Stevens Games. They made Weapons of Legend. Yes, it's a supplement for Draw Steel with a bunch of level treasures, and this one is the follow-up. It's another supplement with level treasures, and it's also a port from a 5e product of theirs. So if you know them from their 5e products, you can probably know what to expect. The last crowdfunder is The Two Soul by Speep. And I was really intrigued by this. Also not launched yet. This is a class for 2 people. So you're playing a duo of characters. I think from the art you get you have a person and like a bear person, and I think they're connected. And you play as the duo in 2 people. This is a really interesting concept. I have never seen this before, but yeah, we're getting this for Draw Steel. Again, go to the landing page and click to get notified, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be pretty dope. Next up, it's adventures. The first one being Stormbreakers by Onkeen. This is a interesting concept also. It's a collection of Draw Steel Codex maps meant to be played in order. According to the text, the blurb that Onkeen wrote, it's aimed for solo play, but can also be used as a regular Draw Steel adventure with a director and players. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. You can play it by yourself. I'm really curious to check this out. The second one is The Snow Queen's Fury by Emmy. It's a midwinter adventure where you're battling ice monsters, exploring a strange Fey realm, and negotiating with a powerful Archfey to save a village from endless winter. This is a 3 to 4 hour adventure for 3 to 6 first level heroes, but apparently there are rules to adjust it up to 8th level. So yeah, it's a pretty broad adventure for many levels. Next, it's The Matter of an Overmind by Dima Jadar. This is like an epic spacefaring Draw Steel adventure for 3 to 6 fourth level heroes, and apparently you're fighting a very, very big Overmind, like moon-sized Overmind, I think. The art is wonderful, so you should definitely check it out. The last adventure I want to talk about is Doom of the Dragon Grafter by none other than Leon Barillero, which is one of the frequent contributors to Draw Steel products from MCDM. And I'm just going to read the blurb because it's cool as a heck. Explore political intrigue, gene splicing, and a thrilling battle for survival in the Timescape's world below. It's a 9th to 10th level adventure, and it's free because it's actually like an adventure that Leon wanted to expand but couldn't. So it's pretty bare bones. You do have the adventure, but there's not a lot of art. And Leon made the adventure. It's CC by its Creative Commons, so anyone can get the adventure and expand it, because Leon made an outline for a full campaign from level 1 to level 10. So they're suggesting that that you get the adventure and expand it and make a product. Just like make your own product with the campaign, because Leon wants to play this full campaign, which they didn't have time to write. So it's a pretty cool concept, like this exquisite corpse type of product, where you put something out there and you make it Creative Commons so other people can build on top of it. It's not unlike an RPG like Draw Steel, but yeah, it's pretty fun. Next, let's talk about player and director options. The first one is the Scion, a spell sword class by Surfing Bird. And this is a Gish, right? John Denor played it in an adventure in which I was, and it's pretty freaking cool. you should check it out, because it's really fun and it's really, really gishy. Next, it's The Vessel by Metalonian. It's sort of a warlock for Draw Steel, while MCDM's own warlock isn't out. So yeah, you can go grab that on their Patreon. You can purchase it from their Patreon. And last is the Carnophage booklet by Shadowhand Gaming. This is a whole monster band for Draw Steel, and I think 2 DTOs, 2 dynamic terrain objects. It's a lot of content, and it seems pretty cool. The art, at least, is very amazing. I haven't looked deep into it, but the concept seems perfect. Now, let's talk about 2 zines. The main zines of the Draw Steel community got new issues. It's the Ratcatcher Magazine issue 2 by Tidal Wave Games, and the Blacksmith's Guild issue 5 by Max Falcon EST and contributors. These are awesome zines. I love reading them. I love going through them, and they have a bunch of new stuff. I'm not going to get into those, but yeah, please do check them out. They are made by fans for fans, nothing made by MCDM there, and it collects a bunch of cool creations that get edited and laid out. It's a wonderful space for new creators to showcase their talents. I believe the Blacksmith's Guild accepts submissions, so you might give them, accepts pitches, so you might give them an idea and they might publish your work. It's pretty cool. Next, we've got visuals. First one being Translated Rule Graphics by KJ Taylor, which are, if you look at Draw Steel, there are many rule graphics explaining like what areas of effect are, what line of effect is. So a bunch of diagrams of a VTT showing the characters and how stuff works in these graphics. And KJ Taylor made a version that you can use when translating the rules. It has slots for you to add monster names and terms, all that stuff. So you don't have to use the images from the rule books, which are not covered by the Draw Steel license. So you would need to make your own graphics in your translation of Draw Steel. So KJ Taylor made that for us. Next is a wonderful player map of Black Bottom by Zikatar. I looked at this and it's amazing. It's really beautiful. You should check it out. There's not much to say about this. It's just a wonderful map of Black Bottom. Next, it's the Vintage Cover Template by Jenny Redacted. And this is, if you look at the Delian Tomb adventure, there's a cover that looks like an old school D&D cover. It's like a cover of a module with an image in the center and the text at the bottom. You have to look at it to know what I'm talking about. But Jenny Redacted made a template for this style of cover, and it's really good. It's really good. I wanted to use this for my stuff. I don't have any adventures coming out, but it's a wonderful vintage template, and you should check it out. Next, it's the Draw Steel Community Plus Glyphs font by Jonas Tintenzea, and Jonas is the Jonas is doing I think every third party Draw Steel product. They're laying out all the stuff. They're making graphics for all the stuff, and now they made this glyphs font, which contains not only the glyphs for like potencies and tiers from Draw Steel, but also some additional stuff that Jonas is using on their third-party products. So stuff like monster organizations, damage types. So you get icons for all of those, and it's really good. And I really like Jonas's monster layouts, particularly because they have a lot of visual indications of what's going on. And you should check this font out if you want to add this to your product, because it's really, really good. And last in the visuals department, it's Gub's Theory of Mapping by, yes, Gub. This is a long document explaining Gub's theory for how to create good Draw Steel maps. And it's really detailed. If you're making adventures, if you're making encounters, do look at it because it's a wonderful resource. And Gub has been doing a lot of stuff for Draw Steel in Treeglav Games, also publishing on their own label, which is Look Out Behind You Studios. And they do have a bunch of knowledge about how to create good maps. So yeah, Gub's Theory of Mapping, a wonderful resource. The last item here in the community corner is some miscellaneous tools. The first one being the Draw Steel Adventure Tools by AlphaStream. AlphaStream made a video on YouTube talking about this. It's a Excel spreadsheet that helps you build encounters, build negotiations. You do have to subscribe to their Patreon to use this, but it's really good. It's really good. If you don't want to use Stall because it's online, or Forge Steel because it's online, you want something on your machine, you're really good with Excel, this is pretty good. You should definitely go look at it if you're interested in AlphaStream, because AlphaStream is Teo Zabadia is the lead on Crack the Sun, right? So yeah, AlphaStream knows what they're talking about. And last, it's 2 extensions for Owlbear by Seamus. So Party Continuity is a way to save character data to the director. So when you change scenes, the character data comes with the director. This is really good. Have been using it on Owlbear. And the next one is power rolls from stat blocks. If you use the Draw Steel extension by Seamus for Owlbear, you know that players can roll from a tooltip on the screen, and now you can add monster stat blocks to tokens, and you can make power rolls from those monsters. It's really a game changer if you're not using the codex. As I said, I play a lot on Owlbear, and this is really good. It has reduced a bunch of the cognitive load of running in a non-automated VTT. So yeah, it's really good. Seamus is doing a lot of wonderful work for Draw Steel. In the news department, so talking about official MCDM news and not creations from the community, we just have a bunch of Patreon posts, which, if you're a patron, you already know about these. If you're not a patron, you might be interested in subscribing to their Patreon to get all of these juicy details. The first one is every montage, negotiation, and heroic test from Draw Steel encounters. So now you get a PDF with everything but the delves in Draw Steel encounters. So this is pretty good if you want to start using those in your home game. And then Willie posted a method of homebrewing ancestries. This post is actually open to anyone because John Denor asked MCDM to open the post for the Jam of the Timescape, and now the post is open. So it's a really wonderful walkthrough of how to homebrew your own ancestries. It's a really good resource for beginners, and I'm even using it myself because I'm making an ancestry on my Patreon. Next, it's a poll on the future of Draw Steel products. This already, of course, the poll's already closed, but we got some information from Matt about the results of this poll for future Draw Steel products. And the result is that there is no consensus among the consumers. And the top choices were setting material and adventures, basically tied. So Matt kind of got the idea that monsters are not something they should focus on right now. So they're focusing on setting material and adventures, but there's no consensus. There's not one thing that everybody wants, right? Next, it's the Red Road Patreon playtest. There's an adventure coming up for Draw Steel. It's the Red Road, and it's being playtested on Patreon right now. So you can get that adventure. And Cameron from Rise Heroes Rise is going to run that for a bunch of us from the Draw Steel community, and you might see videos of those in the future. And last, but certainly not least, it's a monster AI in the Codex. This is a beta feature by Denivarius, one of the core developers of the Codex. Denivarius implemented some AI for monsters in the Codex. This kind of got me by surprise. It's because there was no talk about this, and apparently Denivarius implemented this over the Christmas break. And just trying this stuff out, and some people didn't really like this. It's like, well, isn't this turning Draw Steel into kind of a video game if you allow monsters to work for themselves and attack for themselves and do the optimal stuff, and the director can just watch their creatures just going bananas without any input? And I do agree. I don't like this idea of having like AI to run the monsters on automatic. But apparently this is not the only use of this functionality. Of course, this is really good for instance, for testing stuff, for solo adventures. It's a really interesting concept. I don't know if they're going to work more on this because it doesn't seem to be a core feature, but I like that they're testing new stuff. And just please, when I say AI, this is just an algorithm that runs the creatures. This is not LLMs. We're not talking about all that crazy stuff going on in the world right now. It's AI in the sense of a game AI, right? But there's a video of Denivarius running this, and do go look at it because it's really interesting to see how the monsters like get into position by themselves and attack, and you can say, yeah, I want this or I want that, and you can choose which maneuvers are allowed, which actions are allowed. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I can see this becoming something useful for playtesters and yes, for solo players. But yeah, that's it for the community and news segment of the podcast. And again, all of the links in the description of this episode. But now it's time for our main subject of today, which is Crows, Draw Steel's little brother. So let's go. Okay, so let's talk about Crows. This is the new RPG being produced by MCDM. This is all temp. I'm gonna talk about a lot of stuff, and it's all temp as usual. I feel like we're all the way back to the beginning of Draw Steel, where I have to say everything is temp. But yeah, we got a wonderful article on the MCDM Patreon talking about Crows, this new RPG. It's free and open to everyone, and I'm going to try to summarize the post and a live stream James did a few weeks ago talking about like what the game is going to be, what they're thinking about right now. And so yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it's very, very different from Draw Steel. One of the first things James talks about is that this is not Draw Steel OSR Draw Steel. It's not dungeon crawling Draw Steel. It's its own game, though it does share a little bit of DNA with Draw Steel. But we'll see what that means in a second. As you can probably tell, this is a James Introcaso game. Matt is not collaborating like with design to this game. James is the design director, and Nick Despain will be the art director. Now, what are the main pillars of Crows? If you remember, well, Draw Steel has 4 pillars: tactical, heroic, cinematic, fantasy. Crows also has 4 pillars, but they're very, very different. It's chaotic, post-apocalyptic, dungeon survival. So yeah, it's a pretty different game. I've mentioned OSR already, and yes, this RPG, even though James is not saying it's an OSR game per se, because it's really hard to say what OSR is, it is definitely OSR inspired. Some of the game inspirations that James specifically mentions do claim to be OSR. So yeah, this is kind of an OSR RPG coming from MCDM. It's gonna be pretty fun. And the 4 pillars, what kind of do they mean? Chaotic instead of tactical. It's that there's not a lot of time to plan. Combat is really quick and deadly. It's not supposed to be heroic, right? You're not supposed to be planning every action and have a lot of stuff to do on your turn. It's really supposed to be a quick skirmish, and some people die, some people won't die, and you move on. It's really chaotic. Instead of heroic, we have survival. So this is not a game about being heroes. This is a game about surviving, right? This is the main goal, to survive, to get loot from the dungeon to the town, and this is your main loop. You're not saving the world, you're saving your asses, right? It's a whole different ballgame. Instead of fantasy, we have post-apocalyptic. Not that post-apocalyptic is necessarily different from fantasy, but it's a very different kind of fantasy. This is not a fantasy like Lord of the Rings, where we have different peoples running around and being happy. No, the world has ended, and this is why you have to go into dungeons to get gold and power. James even writes a quick summary of the story of this world, where there were a bunch of mages that became corrupted because magic is weird, and now they became the necromancers, and the world has basically ended with only a few towns surviving, and you have to go into dungeons to grab items of power and a lot of loot to like survive in this very dark and post-apocalyptic world. It's really interesting. If you've played stuff like Shadow Dark, I think the vibe is pretty similar, even though Shadow Dark doesn't explicitly talk about being post-apocalyptic. But if you're going into deadly dungeons to get treasure, it's because you can't get that anywhere else. So it says a bit about the world. The last item here is, instead of cinematic, it's a dungeon game. Well, this does not map perfectly like what is the equivalent of cinematic to dungeon, but cinematic, I think, in Draw Steel means like you imagine the game as a movie. Like you're not tracking rations, you're not tracking torches, right? You're just imagining the cool scenes of the movie and moving on from one cool scene to the other, and you're imagining this big overarching narrative that becomes cinema, right? And here we're talking about dungeons. We're talking about a whole different way of imagining the fiction. You are tracking torches, you are tracking rations, right? This is an homage, right? This is a reference to old school like D&D, like 0th edition, like original D&D. This is a dungeon game, very, very explicitly. You're going underground and you are tracking survival stuff. So yeah, these seem to be the 4 pillars of Crows, and if you like these pillars, you're probably going to like Crows, because MCDM is really, really good at nailing the fantasy that they want to nail, right? The game, they think about the pillars and they make a game that fits the pillars. If you don't like these pillars, you're probably not going to like Crows. So I'm going to be really, really open here. This doesn't seem like my jam. I have played a bunch of OSR stuff. I even wrote an article on my Patreon talking about why I'm not really a fan of OSR games. But I'm really open right now to being surprised by crows, right? Because I really believe that James can nail this type of game in a way that I'm not sure retro clones and D20 games can. We'll see. We'll have to see. So this is not me promising that I'll continue to cover crows in the future, right? I will pay attention and I might talk about this in future episodes, but I can't promise that there will be the Dice Society podcast for crows, right? Because I don't know if I'm going to like the game. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the game. For starters, and this might surprise people, is that there are no classes, apparently. Like, again, it's all temp. We're still in the early days of the game, but James thinks there will be no classes. Anyone can do anything. It all depends on your stats and your equipment, right? Anyone can grab a magic tome and cast a spell. Anyone can get thieves' tools and try to unlock a door. You do not have classes. What do you have instead? You have a starting background, which is going to set your stats, which are only 3: strength, agility, and mind. Your skills, a few skills, your starting equipment, and a trait. You start with, I think, only 1 trait. And an example is like Acolyte of the Mother, and you get some bonus healing whenever you cast a healing spell, right? So this is not really a class, it's just a bonus to healing, right? It's just one thing. It's not a lot. You don't get any special abilities from your class, nothing. This is a background and it just gives you a little bit of extra healing, right? And as you can probably tell, it's only strength, agility, and mind, meaning there are no interaction stats. So the game doesn't expect you to be interacting a lot with NPCs. But yeah, James said that this might change, right? You only have these 3 stats and they're correlated with, I'm pretty sure, melee weapons, ranged weapons, and magic, right? It's pretty straightforward. And one more interesting thing is that you don't advance in your background. You just determine your character's path freely. Your XP will buy new traits. And there's maybe a tree, like a skill tree, maybe a skill list, something to help you determine what you want to do. So you might start with the trait bonus healing, and you might get another trait that's like extra bonus healing, or some other healing bonus, like 2 allies or something, right? I'm just inventing all this stuff, but you just buy new traits, and yeah, you can do anything. If you start as an acolyte, you can pick anything else. I'm not using a lot of healing because there's another healer in the party. So now with my XP, I'm going to buy traits that have more to do with melee weapons, right? So that kind of stuff. You do not have a set class. You do buy every trait you get. And at certain XP thresholds, it's like you gain a level. You improve your stamina or a stat. So you're not really, I think, gaining any abilities. It's really not like Draw Steel. You're not getting new cool abilities for your character. It all depends on the loot, right? And speaking of loot, all your XP will be gained by bringing treasure back to the town. So you do not get XP for defeating monsters. You do not get XP for talking to people. You do not get XP for avoiding traps. You get XP for bringing treasure back. So yeah, this says a lot about the game. You're not supposed to be fighting monsters because the monsters are going to kill you in the dungeon. The game is not balanced per se. They're different monsters and they might kill you in different ways, and you never know if an encounter is balanced. The referee, right? I think the term James wants to go for the dungeon master is referee. It's supposed to be neutral, right? The dungeon is the dungeon. It doesn't matter how many people go into the dungeon. You're going to have the same encounters. So do try to avoid monsters. Do try to avoid traps because your goal is to bring treasure back to the town. That's the only way to upgrade your town. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. So yeah, this is the overview of your character. And let's talk about the main core resolution mechanic of the game. it's still a power roll. So yes, draw steals here in some way. You do roll 2d10 and you have the 3 well-known tiers, 11 or lower, 12 to 16, and 17 or higher. These are your 3 tiers. But your abilities depend on what equipment you're wielding. So if you have a sword, for example, the sword comes with the 3 tiers of success, right? So 2 damage plus agility, right? That kind of stuff. So this is similar to Draw Steel, but that's the only similarity, especially because you do have criticals on a nat 19 and 20, but you have dooms. So a nat 2 and 3 is a doom. It's like a fumble, right? It's you miss and you might deal damage to your ally. And if you're casting a spell, you might have it go awry, right? And that's not even the most jarring thing for us Draw Steel players. Tier 1 is a miss, apparently, like always. At least from the examples James gave in the Patreon post, a Tier 1 is a miss, right? So you have no results in this game. A doom is a miss and a mishap. Then a tier 1 is a miss, a tier 2 does some damage, and tier 3 does more damage, and a crit does some extra stuff. In one of the examples, I think the axe, a crit dismembers the creature that you're attacking, right? So it's pretty interesting. You kind of have 5 levels of success in this tier system. And yeah, you can miss. And why is that not a problem, according to James? Because combat is supposed to be really, really fast. You're not supposed to notice that you missed, right? Because it's going to go around back to you in 5 minutes. It's not gonna be a problem. It's not like Draw Steel, where everybody has tactics and you don't want to spend 20 minutes between your turns doing nothing. Right? You do have a lot of stuff that you can use, and nothing you do just fumbles and does nothing, right? You always do something. But yeah, speaking of combat, this game uses a side initiative system. So I think all the players go, then all the monsters go, then all the players go, then all the monsters go. So being smart and ambushing monsters is really useful, right? And you really don't want to get caught by surprise, because if all the monsters go first, well, you might just have to roll up a new character. But yeah, aside from that, you do get an action and a maneuver. But the maneuver includes moving. You do not have a move action here. The maneuver includes moving, drawing stuff from your belt, knocking back enemies, grabbing. Some spells are maneuvers. So yeah, it also takes a little bit of Draw Steel's structure by having maneuvers which have other uses besides the default. But yeah, move is folded into this maneuver. And stamina, right? So this is another interesting aspect. You have stamina, like in Draw Steel, but armor here doesn't add literal stamina. It adds a separate track of stamina. And once that separate track depletes, you have to fix your armor during a rest. So yeah, you can't even count on your equipment being useful all the time. Right? It's a whole, I know I'm saying this a lot, but it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different system. If you're used to playing Draw Steel, this is not the same. It's really, really different. And as you can probably tell, I said this already, but yeah, it's here in my notes. You can die easily, but James says it shouldn't be a gotcha moment, right? So the referee is supposed to like telegraph to everyone that something's dangerous, give hints that there's a trap. You shouldn't be caught by surprise. When you die, you should be like, yep. It was very obvious that this was going to happen. So it's more of a like a bunch of OSR games is more of a test of the player than of the character. Right? It's not Draw Steel where you're trying to be tactical to give your character a fighting chance with their abilities. It's testing the player. How do I interpret this sign? How do I interpret this indication of danger? Are we powerful enough? Are we going to fight? Are we going to flee? All that stuff. It's really like other OSR games in this sense. And I mentioned monsters, and let me just include this here. The monsters in this game are not going to be like goblins, right? They're not classic dungeon monsters. Weirdly, they are very like bespoke and weird monsters. James talked about having art for every single monster, and the referee can show this art to the players, and the monsters are not going to have names. So it might be Undead 1, Undead 2, Undead A, right? That kind of stuff, just so the referee knows what to look up when an adventure calls for that. But stuff shouldn't have names, because the weirdness, the novelty of these monsters should scare the players. It's not like, this is a goblin, right? A player's not gonna see something and be like, yeah, this is a goblin. It's not gonna be too much of a problem. No, you're going into a mysterious dungeon, and everything you find there could be very deadly, right? So you shouldn't get hints from past player knowledge. All the monsters should be bespoke. But yeah, this is the introduction to the system. This is all the overarching information that helps us understand what the system is like. And then James comes in and gives us a few deep dives into some mechanics. And the main one is the inventory system. This is inspired by Mouse Ritter, if you've ever played that game. Your character sheet has like slots. It has squares drawn onto it, and your equipments are cards that you fit physically onto those slots. You put the equipment card on top of a slot, right? And you have 10 slots for a backpack, right? And 2 slots for your hands. So your equipped stuff is in your hand slots, and the stuff that you're not wearing is in your backpack. You also have 2 belt slots for easily switching equipment, and slots for treasures. Your neck, gloves, boots, waists, rings, and head to wear armor and treasures. So you do have these slots that you can wear, but yeah, you have 2 hands for what you're wielding, 2 belt slots for easily switching, a bunch of treasure slots, and 10 slots for your backpack. It's very tactile from what we can see right now. It's just like a sheet of paper with the squares printed on them, and then James is cutting out the character cards by hand. But yeah, you can imagine with MCDM's level of attention to detail that this could be really tactile and interesting and cool to use at the table, right? And yeah, there are even other mechanics associated with these slots. So some items can take 2 slots, like a big lance, right? So it takes up 2 slots of your backpack and both your hands when you're wielding it, right? Some items can be stacked on the backpack, like daggers, rations, torches, right? So you don't waste a whole slot with a torch. You can stack 2 torches in the same slot, right? And these slots are actually your true health, because when your stamina runs out from your armor and then your actual stamina, you start taking wounds that take up slots, right? And if a wound takes up a slot that has something, you drop that item. So it's a really interesting death spiral, because you're not only losing health, you're also losing the equipment that makes your character who they are, because you don't have a class. You need your equipment, right, to have abilities. So you start dropping this equipment while you're dying. It's a really scary situation from what I can tell. And yeah, you die when all your slots are taken up by wounds. I think Mouse Ritter is exactly the same. I'm not sure. I haven't played Mouse Ritter. I've just heard a lot about it. But yeah, I think it's really inspired by Mouse Ritter. And even and here are my notes, even pulling something out of your bag is subject to a roll, right? You have 10 slots, so you roll a d10, and if you roll above the slot you want, you can take that item. So an item that is on slot 1, you can always grab that, right? And as an item that is on slot 10, you have to roll a 10 to be able to grab it. And it's really indicative of the style of chaotic fight you can expect from this game. Imagine you need a healing potion that's in your backpack, it's not on your belt, so you need to grab it and it's on slot 3, so you have to roll a d10 and waste your maneuver to grab the potion, the healing potion, and you roll low, and so you can't grab the healing potion. It's bound to be very scary in the heat of the moment. And some items, moving on from the slots, some items have usage dice. So this is inspired by Shadow Dark, I think. There's a 30-minute timer of real time going on while you're in the dungeon. So every 30 minutes of real time, every item that has usage dice, right? So like torches. Torches have a few usage die, and it's a pool of d6s. And you roll that pool. If you roll a 1 or 2, you remove those dice from the pool. So the pool shrinks every time you roll. If you roll a 1 or 2 on a specific die, and when you run out of dice, the item depletes. So the torch goes out. So an item with a big usage pool, you're rolling, say, 10 dice every time. So it's very unlikely that it's going to go out on the first roll. But as those dice dwindle and you're rolling 2 dice in the middle of a battle, right, your torch could go out at any moment. You simply do not know when a torch is going out. It's not like Shadow Dark in the sense where you know that the torch lasts 1 hour and players can just look at the clock and see when you're getting to 1 hour and swap it for a new torch. You do not know. You roll the dice, and once you run out of dice because you roll too many 1s and 2s, the item depletes. So also very scary, very chaotic. And of course, you can craft a bunch of items, right? Equipment materials matter. So an iron sword, a steel sword, all that stuff is going to matter. James is not sure yet how this is going to work with the item cards, but I'm sure they're going to figure it out. So yeah, this is the inventory part of the game. It's one of the main components besides combat, right? Which I think it's one of the main components, even though the game is not about combat. But you do have a lot of combat, a lot of damage dealing abilities. You are going to get into combat. You just have to try to avoid it as much as possible. And then you have the inventory system, which seems pretty fun and pretty chaotic. The next thing that James talks about, and we don't have much details about this, is the base building mechanics of this game. And this might be the stuff that sells me on Crows, because having base building creates something that lasts in the world, even though your characters keep dying. So you care about the town, right, your base, and not necessarily your characters. You're trying to improve the town and not necessarily your characters. And this is what might sell me on Crows. But once you bring your treasure back to the town, you unlock better merchants, better material. Maybe you can get hirelings. Maybe bad stuff can happen to the town and you have to invest in defenses. Once your character retires, right? They go up to the max level if there is a max level, but once they become high level enough, they become NPCs, powerful NPCs in the town that can help your future dungeon delves with their power, right? So this creates a persistent entity. Even though most OSR games, you're dying all the time and you're just going through characters, right? And for me, that creates a detachment from the game because I like having something to be attached to. I want to be sad when my character dies. And in these kinds of games, you're not supposed to be sad when your character dies because they're going to die a lot. But this base building mechanic creates a whole new incentive that even though your characters are dying, the town is more secure, the town has better NPCs and better merchants, your retired NPCs become, your retired PCs become NPCs. So yeah, this is pretty interesting, and it might be a real game changer for OSR games. I'm really interested to see what this turns out to be like. And yeah, this is all the notes I had for Crows. We have a bunch of news already, but I'm not sure how often we're gonna get news about Crows. James said he'll be posting on Patreon, but I'm not sure it's going to be as often as we got posts for Draw Steel, right? Because it's only James and not the whole team working on Crows. But yeah, the crowdfunder landing page is already up. The crowdfunder will open on August 4th, according to my math, because it's still 180 something days away, right? So they wanted to build some hype, already open the page, and yeah, it's kind of soon. It's this year. James started working on the game in January, like officially full time, and the crowdfunder is supposed to come out in August. So yeah, keep your eyes open, because we're probably gonna get some cool updates in the meantime. And if you're interested in more OSR stuff, I do recommend joining my Patreon, because recently I wrote a whole article talking about what really just doesn't rub me the right way in OSR games. And especially because I knew Crows was going to get announced, and I wanted to get all my thoughts in place before I saw all the news from Crows, right? And if Crows does change my mind in the future. So it's going to be really fun to see what happens as the game gets developed. And that's it for today, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. A special thanks to my current Initiate and Adept level patrons, Seth Lang, Thomas Rodriguez, T. Dawes, Brendan West, and Anton Kermola. Thank you all so much. Make sure to check out this episode's description for links to all of my socials, the Dice Society's mailing list, and my Discord server. I'll also leave some links to James's, Matt's, and MCDM's accounts so you can follow them too. See you all next time. Thank you so much for following me for these past 2 years, and goodbye.